Hello ladies and gentlemen, bienvenue, and thank you for tuning in to Dave Listens to Hi-Fi. So, I love getting a deal. I especially love getting a deal on something that sounds good. Case in point, my main speakers, they respond well to watts. Even at low volumes, they sound best with amplifiers that are capable of putting out a couple hundred watts. So that led me to experiment with ProSound power amplifiers. I first picked up a Crest power amp, available locally for a couple $100, brought it home, put it in my system, and you know what, I was surprised because it sounded much better than I thought it would. So I started experimenting with some other brands. I picked up a number of different amps, different brands and models, and most of them sounded okay. A few of them sounded not great at all, but there was a couple of them that really sounded good. And eventually that's what replaced the audio research amp in my system, was a ProSound power amp that just cost a couple $100. But you know, the amplifier speaker synergy is the most critical thing in your hi-fi system. It's really important to get a good synergy between your amp and your speakers. You know, each speaker is only going to sound its best with certain amplifiers, and each amplifier is really only going to shine when it's powering the right speakers. Which leads me to powered speakers. Now, powered speakers are great because the speaker designer can select the right amplifier that works best for his drivers in his cabinet, or her drivers or her cabinet, as the case may be, build in the synergy and really eliminate all that guesswork. So, what we have here is these powered speakers. I've got a 15-inch cast frame woofer. I've got a compression driver and a nice waveguide. I've got over 400 watts biamped power built into each speaker, balanced inputs, available for a couple $100 for the pair. Have I just found the hi-fi bargain of the year? Let's find out. So what we have here is the Electro-Voice SXA250. It's a powered two-way speaker that's designed for DJ use, sound reinforcement, or as a stage monitor. It has a two-way ported design with an active crossover and separate amp channels per driver. It features, the specs say 350 watts for the woofer, and it'll put out 80 watts for the titanium compression driver tweeter. Max SPL for the system is 126 dB, and I really have no doubt that it'll actually hit that level. The ability of these speakers to play really loud with low distortion is just incredible. You really have to hear it. There's a preamp section, including a mic preamp with gain control. The main input is XLR with TRS inputs as well, also with gain control. There's a set of tone controls, LF and HF. Now, I'm not sure if this is an actual EQ circuit or if it's just controlling the relative volume of each amp channel. But you can adjust it, the low and high frequency channels. There's an IEC power input, so you can use your favorite power cord. And since there are two cords needed, one left and one right, I didn't actually have a chance to evaluate how much difference a better power cord makes, because I don't have multiples of the same power cord. So it's kind of hard to make that comparison. The SXA250 can be pole mounted. You can put them on the ground like this, or use them as a stage monitor like this. I tried them on the ground. The tone was okay, but imaging and clarity really suffered. Then I put it on my stands. They're about 23 inches high, which puts my ears kind of midway between the woofer and the tweeter. On the stands, the bass was lighter, but the sound really opened up. So that's where I kind of evaluated them, mostly pretty much facing straight forward, because if you tow them in, that titanium compression driver really drives your ears quite a bit. So just facing them directly forward gave a good balance. The LF knob turned up to 3 just to increase the bass a little bit because it was lacking up on the stands. Increase the LF knob more and it sounded boomy, so kind of 3 dB or plus 3 seemed to give the best results. So, how do they sound? Are these the hi-fi bargains that they seem to be? I won't make you wait until the end of the video to tell you. No, these do not replace hi-fi speakers. There are limitations to the sound quality that really affect how I hear and enjoy music, most importantly. Speakers designed for audiophiles do a much better job at playing music in a listening room. So, how do they sound? Well, listening to Miles Davis, Round Midnight with John Coltrane, it had a nice tone, good mid-bass, clear and detailed highs. This really started to show the brilliance of that compression tweeter. I was very impressed with that. However, listening to the imaging, the instrument placement was smeared, and I really had to concentrate to get the imaging to settle down and make sense. This extra effort required to think about the imaging was distracting, and it didn't make for a relaxing listen. Next, I tried the Gautier track State of the Art from his album Making Mirrors. Now, this song is a piece of studio brilliance. I mean, as is much of the album. So much attention seems to have been paid to the sounds and the production. There's always new things to be discovered when I'm listening to these tracks. The Electro-Voice speakers did a good job of projecting the image forward, placing the sounds, and again, the detail and the forcefulness of the tweeter was really a highlight. Low bass, which there is a lot on this track, it was completely absent. For a real full range response, like with my reference Carvers, you definitely require a subwoofer. The impression I got listening to the Gautier with the SXA250s was kind of like listening to studio monitors. Something that was designed to present music in its parts rather than recreating a musical event. I listened to some more jazz, Freewheeling, the Ted Brown Sextet. This one was a mono recording, and it seemed to have fewer drawbacks than with the stereo recordings that I had been listening to. The center image was solid, not as much depth as with mono recordings I've heard, but it was good. Detail was satisfying, sharp but not fatiguing. Next I moved to some good prog, the Yes album. That's a nicely recorded album for its time, and it's really easy to listen to repeatedly. So I took some time to do a direct comparison here. I have a Rysong tube amp with a set of vintage German isophone high-efficiency speakers. Very different animals. So in comparison to the tube and coax Germans, the powered Americans seem to have a quicker transience, but strangely less detail. The Electro-Voice speakers lacked in ambience, soundstage width, reverb trails especially in comparison. Bass was warm with the Electro-Voices, but lacking in depth. I have to mention the power of these speakers though. Much of my listening is around 70 dB range. I don't generally listen to music very loud. But with the Electro-Voices though, they have this amazing quality to be able to play very, very loud, seemingly without any distortion. I mean, you can push these speakers well past 100 dB in your room and it just sounds clean. I mean, it's amazing just to put on some glitch mob or orbital and crank it up, and you're just grooving, and the music is so present, clean, impactful. I mean, really, really impressive compared to any other hi-fi speakers I've heard. So these are not hi-fi speakers as I've discovered. While impressive on paper and being able to perform well in a few specific instances, for example, there's this track that I've been binging on lately. It's a Blinding Lights cover by Abigail Lapel. Oh, you have to check this out. It really gives me goosebumps. It's amazing. Vocal and guitar on these speakers sounds like it could be live, truly being performed here and now, amplified but live. This specific song sounds great, but most other music was just a bit too hard to get into. I lost a bit of the joy of listening to my system when these speakers were installed. So what I'm going to leave you with is my new reference track. I ordered some Duchess on vinyl, so I'm going to be able to play that for you on the speakers. You can hear it, and then subsequently on all the other new stuff that I'm going to be reviewing, I'll be able to play the same track, and it'll give you a good basis for comparison with some music that is truly original and not found elsewhere. So I've got the ability to use this track. So again, thanks for watching. This is Dave Listens to Hi-Fi. Please like, subscribe, do all that stuff that you normally do to the videos that give you pleasure, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks a lot.